Okay, so yun. So maganda ang topic natin today, trigonometric function values. It's nice because this topic is actually kind of optional for those who are allowed to use calculator kasi yung mga answers natin sa mga discussions natin dito, makikita naman natin sa calculator. Ayan, so like for example, this one, yung sine 60 degrees, pwede naman nating i-plug in yun sa calculator. That's why medyo may pagka-optional yung discussion natin today. So kung halimbawa wala ka lang calculator, di ka naubusan na drain yung battery ng calculator mo, at least you have this other option. Yan. O di ka nasa gubat ka and you need to find certain trigonometric function values, at least you still have a way of looking for it. Yun. So parang on the lighter side. Okay. So let's determine the sign of a trigonometric function on a particular quadrant. Use reference angles to find exact values of some trigonometric functions. Kasi yung mga trigonometric functions or trigonometric function values are essentially dependent on two things. One is the sign, as in SIGN, whether positive or negative. And then the other one is the numerical value. Yan. So yung ganong katindi yung mga trigonometric function values natin na as I mentioned, kung may calculator nga kayo, hindi naman yun magiging problem. Okay, so in quadrant 1, both x and y are positive. So all trigonometric functions are positive as we can see from here. In quadrant 2, x is negative, y is positive. So ano yung mga negative? Ano yung positive? X is negative, so cosine. Sine ang positive, the y value. So yung reciprocal niya, the cosecant function, will also be positive. Yung mga affected ng x, sila yung negative. So only the sine and cosecant functions are positive. Whereas in quadrant 3, both x and y are negative. Both x and y. So that means this will become positive as well as this one. Kasi negative over negative will be positive. So tangent and cotangent functions are the only ones positive on the third quadrant. Okay. Now for the fourth quadrant, let's take a look at the fourth quadrant. We have negative y, and positive x. Okay. Negative y and positive x. So that, what does that mean? Positive x, that will be cosine. So reciprocal function niya, second, yun lang yung magpa-positive. Yung mga affected ng y's, sila yung negative. So only the cosine and second functions are positive on the fourth quadrant. So para mas matandaan natin to, we have this acronym A, S, T, C. Yan. Kasi dito sa first quadrant, all trigo functions are positive. Second quadrant, second as in S, sine, as well as its reciprocal function. Baka malito tayo na second, ano, kasi letter S din yun. Yung mga, take note that these trigo functions here are the basic ones. Sila yung mga nakikita natin sa calculator natin sa cycle. Okay? So sine and cosecant functions are the only ones positive. Dito sa third quadrant, only the tangent and cotangent functions, yung reciprocal niya, are positive. Tapos dito sa fourth quadrant, so cuatro, as in C-U-A-T-R-O, cuatro for Spanish word for 4. Cuatro starts with letter C as well as the cosine function. Okay, so para matandaan natin tong all sine tan cos, all ASTC, we have all students take calculus. ASTC, taking note that we are just to consider the basic trigonometric functions, the three basic ones. So yung kapartner nila for each quadrant, yung ka-reciprocal lang nila. Okay? So, if cosine is positive, tangent is negative, let's practice on what quadrant will x lie. Okay? On what quadrant or quadrants will the angle x lie? Cosine positive, tangent is negative. So that means hindi siya pwede sa first quadrant kasi may negative eh. Sa first quadrant, dapat lahat positive. So it's only on the fourth quadrant. So the answer is quadrant 4. What about if cosine positive and tangent is positive? On what quadrant does x lie? So this is our connector is end. Okay, cosine is positive at the same time tangent is positive. We can only have one possibility and that will be quadrant 1. Hindi pwede nating isagot yung quadrant 3 tsaka quadrant 4 kasi for quadrant 3, only the tan and cotangent, sorry for that, only the tangent and cotangent will be positive. Si cosine will be negative here. Okay? Ayun. So, same as the fourth quadrant, only the cosine and secant, si tangent will be negative. So, si quadrant 1 lang ang answer. Okay, what about this one? If secant is negative and cotangent is also negative, on what quadrant does theta lie? Or quadrants, no? Secant is negative. So that means hindi siya pwede sa quadrant 1. May negative eh. May isa ng negative. Hindi rin siya pwede sa quadrant 4 kasi si secant is the reciprocal of cosine na positive sa fourth quadrant. Cannot be on the third quadrant kasi dito naman si tangent as well as si cotangent are positive. Okay? So, ang pwede lang na maging answer ay si second quadrant. For those two cases, so again, our answer here will be just quadrant 2. Okay. Now for our next question. If tangent is negative, tangent theta is negative, and cotangent theta is also negative, on what quadrant or quadrants does theta lie? So, may negative na naman, so it cannot be in quadrant 1. Cannot be in quadrant 3 kasi si tangent dun positive. So, quadrant 2 is a possible answer as well as quadrant 4. Kasi si tangent at si cotangent, they are of the same sign. So, kung pareho silang negative, dito sila pag magne-negative pareho, dito sila magne-negative pareho. So, quadrants 2 and 4 are the answers here. Okay. Now, what about the sine of sine 1058 degrees? Paano natin kukunin yung sine ng 1058 degrees? So, balikan natin yung mga naging lesson natin before na pagka counterclockwise, positive. Pagka counterclockwise, no? So, this is positive. So, 1058 degrees, medyo may kalakihan yan, no? So, lalampasan niya yung 360 degrees. Isa pang ikot, lampas pa siya. So, lalampas pa siya ng 720. Isa pang ikot, 1080 degrees. Aba, sumobra na tayo. So, 1058 lang to. So, para makuha natin yung 1058 from 1080, dapat mag-subtract tayo ng 22 degrees. So, kung pa negative, so ito yung 1080 degrees, pa minus, magka-clockwise movement na tayo. So, clockwise tayo ng 22 degrees. Hindi siya umabot ng 90 degrees, so hindi siya lalampas ng isang quadrant na movement natin. Okay? It can only be up to here. Okay? So, since nasa fourth quadrant tayo, nasa fourth quadrant yung ating 1058 degrees is located on the fourth quadrant, the sign value there will be negative. So, ang answer natin is negative. Okay. Now, what about the sign of cotangent? Negative 14 pi over 5, no? So, anong gagawin natin? I-convert natin siya to this form kasi gusto natin meron tayo munang ito yung basis natin. So, anong multiple ng 2 pi yung malapit sa kanya? Okay. So, negative 14 pi over 5, malapit siya sa negative 20 pi over 5 para multiple ng pi, even multiple ng pi. This is negative 4 pi eh. Para dito siya mag-stop. Okay? This one will be here. So, para makuha natin yung negative 14 pi over 5 from negative 20 pi over 5, we need to add 6 pi over 5. Okay? So, how do we do that? Galaw tayo kasi negative. So, para negative 2 pi, tas isa pa, negative 4 pi, isa pang ikot. Pero kailangan nating mag-add ng 6 pi over 5. So, mula sa pag-ikot natin, 2 beses ng clockwise para mag-terminate tayo dito, mag-a-add tayo ng 6 pi over 5. So, pagpa-add counterclockwise na naman kasi positive. So, papagano na naman yung movement natin. So, pag ganon, question, lalampas ba to ng pi over 2? Kasi, di ba, 1 quadrant is pi over 2. Okay? Take note that 6 pi over 5, lumampas nga siya ng pi kasi 6/5 yung kanyang, di ba, yung kanyang coefficient 6/5 is an improper fraction. So, this is more than 1. Lampas siya ng 1/5 sa isang pi. So, lalampasan niya yung 2 quadrants, it will be here. So, lalampasan niya yan, dito siya magte-terminate sa third quadrant. So, that means negative 14 pi over 5 is on the third quadrant. Okay? Actually, pwede rin yung ganitong style. So, let's get a pen. Halimbawa, kung ayaw mo nang manggaling ka sa may negative, may positive, gusto mo po parehong negative lang, di kung gusto mo si negative 14 pi over 5, you can write this as negative 10 para parehong negative. Negative 10 pi over 5 plus negative, sorry for that, plus negative 4 pi over 5. Para parehong negative, no? Di ka malito sa movement na may clockwise, counterclockwise. So this is negative 2 pi. So dito pa rin siya magte-terminate. Okay? Tapos, the movement natin is clockwise kasi positive. So isang negative 2 pi. Tapos negative 4/5 pi. Negative 4/5. This is greater than negative pi over 2. Kasi di ba? Lalampasan niya to. We're moving clockwise. Yan, pag ganon. Pero kailangan pa natin ito. This is negative 2 pi. So adding negative 4/5 more, lalampas siya dito sa negative pi over 2. Pero hindi siya lalampas dito kasi this is less than pi. Hindi niya mabubuo yung pi or negative pi. So up to here lang siya. Kaya third quadrant pa rin even if you make use this approach. Okay? So pag ganun, again, ang ginamit natin yung negative 20 pi, nag-add tayo ng 6 pi over 5 which is lalampas sa pi. Kaya dito tayo sa third quadrant. Therefore, cotangent there is positive. Gaya ng tangent function. Okay, what about this one? Yung numerical value, kanina ang concern natin is yung sign. This time, ang magiging concern natin will be the numerical value. So si 30, si 45, tsaka si 60 degrees, those are actually called our reference angles. Okay, so pag sinabi natin reference angle, it's usually a positive acute angle at terminal side mixed with the x-axis. Okay. Ayan, so yung 405 degrees, si negative 315 degrees, ang kailangan natin yung 45 degrees. Okay? Take note that 0 degrees is the only reference angle that is not positive. Actually, mga quadrantal angles natin, pwede rin namang maging reference angle, si 90, si 180, 270, and 360. Okay, pero ito yung mga usual na reference angles natin. Okay? Minsan ang tawag natin sa kanila mga special angles. Let's start with the unit circle. Balikan ulit natin siya. Yung concept ng unit circle binabalikan natin. Like for example, in this case, where we're considering half of 90 degrees. Hinhalf natin yung 90, di ba? Each quadrant is 90 degrees. We get 45 degree angle. So yung XY, associated terminal point, yun yung cosine and sine of 45 degrees. Yun yung bali legs ng ating right triangle where this is the x and this is the y. Take note that the hypotenuse, I labeled it as 1. Bakit 1? Kasi it's coming from the radius of the unit circle. Okay? So ayun po, we can have the famous rule, no, na kapag meron kang isosceles right triangle, this is actually isosceles right triangle kasi this is 45, 45, 90 triangle. Remember, your two acute angles will be congruent here, 45, 45. Therefore, your two legs will be the same. So, yung derivation niya, yung y can be replaced by x. We can have this equation, x squared plus x squared equals 1 or 2x squared equals 1. giving us x squared equals 1/2 or x equals square root of 2 over 2. Therefore, yung y natin is also square root of 2 over 2. So that happens, kaya magiging cosine 45 degrees lang yon, and this one, yan yung sine 45 degrees. That's why for cosine and sine of 45 degrees, the two values are equal. The cosine and sine values are equal for 45 degrees. Okay. Now for the next derivation, we consider 1/3 of this quadrant. So itong 90 degrees, ihatiin natin into 3 parts. No? So meron kang 30, 60, 90. So dito tayo muna kay 30 degrees. So we take note that we have a longer leg this time. So ang longer leg natin is the x, yung shorter leg is the y. The longer leg is the adjacent side, no? Adjacent leg to 30 degrees. So pag ginamitan natin ng SOHCAHTOA yan, ayan, that will lead you to x being equal to square root of 3 over 2. Okay. Tapos yung y equals 1/2. Okay. So, parang sinasabi din dito yung sa principle ng 30, 60, 90 triangle, no? Sa 30, 60, 90 triangle, the shorter leg, sinasabi doon that the shorter leg is half of the hypotenuse. This is the shorter leg. Tapos yung longer leg is square root of 3 times the length of the shorter leg. Okay? Eh ano nga ba yung x na yan? In the context of this slide, it's equal to cosine of 30 degrees. The y there is sine 30 degrees. Okay. Now, what about for 60 degrees? 60 degrees is also a 30, 60, 90 triangle, but this time, even if this is our hypotenuse, or in the case of the circle, that is the radius, no? Ang ating magiging shorter leg this time will be the x, and the longer leg is the y. So that means si x yung magiging 1/2, si y yung square root of 3 over 2, or si x is cosine 60 degrees, si y yung sine 60 degrees. Ayan, so parang nagpalit sila ni 30 degrees kanina. Okay, sana po wag malito doon. Ayan. Okay, kaya it always very useful to go back to the basic. Ano nga ba itsura nung 30, 60, 90 triangle kapag nasa unit circle? Yan. So, laging tingnan natin which one will become the shorter or the longer leg. In the context of that, para hindi tayo malito. Lagi tayong, pag naging stock knowledge natin yun, we always have concept to look back to. Okay, so ito yung mga trigonometric functions of special angles in summary. Pwede nating hanapin yung the rest of the trigonometric functions. Medyo i-pass forward ko na. Those can be found using the formula for tangent, which is sine over cosine. This one is sine over cosine. Let's use a different color. This is sine over cosine, whereas cosecant is the reciprocal of sine function. The second, parang yun yung nire-reinforce sa atin. The second is the reciprocal of cosine, and the cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent or cosine over sine function. Okay? So, ayun yung mga other trigonometric functions. It's important to take note of this kasi hindi ito napaplug in sa calculator natin. So, mahalagang malaman natin sila with regards or with respect to the basic trigo functions that we have, si sine, cosine, tangent. Okay? So, ayun po. Again, this can be found, all these values can be found using our calculator. A matter of knowing lang na dapat naka-deg mode yung calculator natin if you're using the degree notation, or naka-radians mode if you're using the ones with pi. Okay, for your angle theta. Meron din tayong tinatawag na trigonometric functions, no? A helping hand versions. This is for those who are not dependent on calculator. Mas gustong parang mala Spider-Man, no? So paano malalaman yung sine and cosine value using the fingers, so helping hand version. So imagine natin yung palm natin. So pwede nating tingnan yung ating kamay, yung ating left hand in particular. This is 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. Okay? So, pwede nating ma-imagine na yung nasa gitna merong ganitong form. Okay? Square root of n over 2. Okay? Tapos lumalabas dito, we start with 0, yung ating number of fingers natin, no, na nasa left side. Okay? So, ito yung 0 degree. So, if we are to fold this finger, i-try nating i-fold yung kamay natin, yung finger natin sa left hand. If you fold this finger, the number of fingers you have here is 0. Okay? So, ayun, that's why you have 0 over 2. So, this represents the sine function, yung nasa kaliwa. And the number of fingers you have on the right side represents the cosine function. So, yung number of fingers mo sa kanan is 4. You have 4 fingers there. So, 4 fingers, kaya magiging 4. Okay? So, kaya dito kanina 0, kaya 0 over 2 is 0. Ngayong 4 yun, square root of 4 is 2. 2 over 2 will be equal to 1. That's why this cosine is 1. So, yung nilalagay natin sa radical o sa radicand, yung number of fingers. Okay? So, punta ngayon tayo sa 30 degrees. Erase na natin yung kanina, yung yellow. Yan. So, yung 30 naman yung ifo-fold natin. Okay. So, this time, let's use another color. Let's use green naman. Okay? So, pag finold natin itong 30, this one will be folded. Ito yung magiging number of fingers on the left. That will represent the sine function. So, 1. There's 1 finger. So, square root of 1 is 1. That's why you have 1/2. Ito yun. Tapos, for the other side, ito naman yung cosine. That will be 3 fingers. Kaya square root of 3 over 2. Yung cosine ng 30 degrees. Okay? So, sa 45, nasa gitna lang siya. So, parehong tig 2. Diba? 2 fingers on the left, 2 fingers on the right. Kaya, pag ni-replace natin, that will be what? Magiging square root of 2 over 2 pareho. So, square root of 2, si sine of 45, pati si cosine, square root of 2 over 2 pa rin kasi tig 2 fingers lang. Okay? Now, let's erase naman. Let's go to the 60 degrees. Yan. Yung iba naaaliw dito instead of using their calculator, mas preferred nila. Yan. So at least you have an advantage kahit nasabihin ng teacher, you're not allowed to use calculator. Yan. Meron pa rin kayong way to get the values of the trigonometric functions. So let's see, let's use a different color. Let's use the blue one. So bakit 60 degrees? Kasi pag finold natin to, there are 3 fingers on the left. So 3. Lagay natin doon yung 3. Sorry. So, bumalik. Sorry for that. Ayun. So, kaya 3. Kaya square root of 3 over 2 yung sine function. Tapos, pagdating kay cosine, there's only 1 finger on the right. So, magiging 1 yung radicand natin. That's why square root of 1 is 1, 1/2. Okay? Siyempre, pagdating kay 90, if you are to fold this, yung magiging sine mo, 4 na fingers yung nasa left. So, this will be 4. 2 over 2 siya. So, 1. Yung cosine mo, 0. Wala ka ng finger na nasa kabila. So, 0 over 2 is 0. Okay. So, ayun po. Those are the special values that we can have. In summary, ito yung mga nakuha natin. Okay. So, ito yung mga counterpart ng 45 degrees. Take note that 45 is a reference angle. So, sa second quadrant, meron tayong 135. Kasi this is 45 degrees, di ba? The angle it makes, positive angle it makes with the x-axis. Okay? So, if this is 135 degrees, take note this is supplementary with this angle here. Supplementary angles, yung sum nila 180, di ba? So, if your angle is 135, di ba? Laging from this initial side, yung reference natin from this initial side. So, this is 135. The theta is 135, pero the reference angle you're going to use is the 45 degrees. So, meaning to say, pagdating mo kay 135, yung corresponding numerical value ni 45 will prevail. Ano yung counterpart niya sa pi radians? You can check that will be 3 pi over 4. Yan, parang pwede mong isipin na since this is pi, parang pi minus pi over 4 kasi nag-clockwise movement ka. Okay? Or di kaya pagka tigpa pi over 4 to, pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4. Okay? Pagkadating sa third quadrant, ang counterpart naman natin, sige nga, that will be 180 plus 45, that will be 225. Let's write it here. So, pi positive, pi plus pi over 4, pi plus pi over 4 will be 5 pi over 4. Okay? So, pupunta siya dito. This is 6 pi over 4. Pagdating sa fourth quadrant, that will be 315 degrees. This is, remember, this is 270. So, 270 degrees plus 45 is 315. Okay? Or equivalently, it's 7 pi over 4. Okay? Sabi natin, yung numerical values will be the same except that yung magiging sign. Remember for the second quadrant, no? The sine and cosecant functions are the only ones positive. Pagdating sa third quadrant, only the tan and cotangent functions are positive. So, both will be negative. Okay? Tapos, ito namang sa 315, only the cosine and secant functions are positive. So, this one is negative. Okay? So, we apply the same thing, the same principle to 30 degrees. No? So, hanapin natin yung counterpart niya sa second quadrant. So, that will be 180 minus 30 pa-clockwise. No? So, 180 minus 30 will be 150 degrees. Kasi laging ang theta natin, laging from this initial side yung measurement. Okay? So, that's 150 degrees. Tapos, ang equivalent niya is 5 pi over 6. You can verify that this will be 210 degrees. Tapos, 7 pi over 6 is the counterpart or equivalent radians. Tapos, dito naman, that will be 360. Tapos, pa-clockwise, 360 minus 30 will be 330 degrees. Let's write it there. Or di kaya 2 pi minus pi over 6, that's 11 pi over 6. Again, same numerical value. Pare-pareho lang ng numerical value. Sine, parating sine ng 30, may kinalaman kay 30. Diba? Since the reference angles of this, 30, tigwa 1/2 yan. Kaya lang, ito yung second quadrant. So, dito yung negative. Third and fourth quadrant. Tapos cosine, pare-pareho lang square root of 3 over 2. Kasi 30 degrees ang reference angles nito mga to. Okay? Pero, dito sa second tsaka third quadrant, negative yung cosine. Okay? So, ayun. Let's do the same thing with 60 degrees. Medyo fast forward po natin. 180 minus 60 is 120. Okay? So, again, ang principle niya, this is 60 degrees. Pero this one is 120. Ito yung 120. Yan yung ating theta value sa trigonometry. So, 120 degrees, 2 pi over 3 yon. For this part, 180 plus 60 is 240. Kanina, nag-minus tayo kasi pa-clockwise. Ito, counterclockwise, so pa-plus. So, 180 plus 60 is 240. Equivalently, that's 4 pi over 3. Dito, pwedeng pa-minus na naman kasi 360 minus clockwise. Minus 60, that would be 300 degrees. 300 is 5 pi over 3. Again, yung mga sine theta natin, pare-pareho itong maging square root of 3 over 2. Tapos yung cosine, pare-parehong 1/2. We just take note that for the third and fourth quadrant, nasan yun? The sine values are negative. Sa cosine naman, second and third quadrant, negative. Okay? Sabi natin, bukod sa numerical value, ang concern natin is the sign, whether it's positive or negative. Kaya pag sign yung concern natin, we refer to the quadrant where the theta belongs. So in summary, ito yung figures natin. Tapos ito yung corresponding trigonometric function values nila. Yan, wherein the x-coordinate will be the cosine values. Tapos yung mga y coordinates, yun yung mga nagiging sign values natin. Okay, so this is very important. So kung gusto nyo idagdag sa inyong mga e-notes, pwede nyo picturean yung ating slide. Now, I hope you're ready for the time for questions. Let's start with number 1. Cosine of 315 degrees is equal to, and the answer is, ayan, tingnan natin, nasan si cosine of 315 degrees? Nasa fourth quadrant ito eh. Fourth quadrant ang reference natin. Kung halimbawa hindi natin titingnan tong unit circle na to, yan, ibig sabihin, nasa quadrant 4. So, positive. Tapos ang reference angle natin, this is on the fourth quadrant, 315. So, ang kailangan natin si 45 degrees. Okay? Kasi ito yung 315 degrees. Okay? So, 45 degrees, ibig sabihin square root of 2 over 2. Tapos, positive kasi quadrant 4, cosine positive. Let's check it here. This one, 315 degrees. So, positive nga yung ating cosine value. So, that's positive square root of 2 over 2. Okay. Now, let's go to question number 2. Cotangent of 16 pi over 3. Okay, medyo fast forward na po natin. Kunwari, wala muna yung unit circle, 16 pi over 3. So, that means pwede nating express yan as, magiging 15 pi over 3 plus pi over 3 para pareho na lang positive. 15 pi over 3 is 5 pi. Hindi siya multiple ng even multiple, pero still that will help. Positive, so clockwise, counterclockwise tayo. 5 pi. So, isang 2 pi, isa pang 2 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi. Kung gusto natin maging may pagka-particular sa mga revolutions. Pero mga add multiples automatically will be here. So, counterclockwise. So, pag ganon, pi over 3 is like here. Okay? So, it's like ito yung pi. So, hatiin natin siya into 3. So, kung pi over 3, dito lang siya. Okay? So, that means we're on the third quadrant. So, positive na naman, no? Positive na naman. Pi over 3 yung kailangan natin. Pi over 3 yung kailangan natin. So, pi over 3, ibig sabihin, yan yung cosine is 1/2. Tapos, yung sine yung square root of 3 over 2. Okay? So, you have a 1/2. Tapos, square root of 3 over 2. This is your cosine. This is your sine. So, this will cancel. So, you have 1 over square root of 3 or square root of 3 over 3 when you simplify that radical. Okay? So, ang ating sine ay positive. Square root of 3 over 3. So, where is 316 pi over 3? That will be, hindi natin makita dito kasi it's more than 5 pi. So, nandito siya. So, kukuha tayo ng pi over 3 from there. So, parang dito siya pupunta. From pi, it will be coterminal with the 4 pi over 3 here. Okay? So, ito yung ating cosine and sine value. So, cosine over sine. So, actually, both are negative pala. Both are negative, kaya lang nag-cancel, no? Kaya positive, square root of 3 over 3. Nasaan yung ating answer? Ayun, square root of 3 over 3 positive. Okay, so let's go to this one. Okay, medyo fast forward na natin. So, paano yung magiging solution nito? Ay, huwag muna nating tingnan, no? So, negative 210. So, mag-stick na lang tayo sa parehong negative. So, negative 210 can be expressed as negative 180 plus negative 30 para hindi tayo malito, no? So, parehong negative. Dito yung negative 180. Magka-clockwise tayo, no? Clockwise, negative 180. Tapos kailangan niya pa ng negative 30. So, ayun. Akyat siya dito. So, that means second quadrant. Okay? So, 30 degrees is the ating reference angle. Sine is 1/2, di ba? Pag nag-Spiderman tayo, sine is 1/2. So therefore, this will be the reciprocal of 1/2, kaya this part is 2. Positive. Cosecant and sine, positive. Yan. After getting the numerical value, titingnan mo yung sign before you leave that term. Okay? Si 405 degrees naman, 405 degrees. This is equal to 360 plus 45. Positive naman tayo. So, pa-counterclockwise. So, pag ganun, isang 360 tapos isang 45. Dito na naman siya. So, first quadrant, kaya positive. 45 degrees ang inad mo. 45 degrees is the reference angle. So, yan yung equal si sine and cosine sa square root of 2 over 2 pareho. Therefore, this part is 1. So, the answer is 2 plus 1, which is 3. Okay. So, pag tinignan natin dito, si negative 210 will be somewhere here. Nandito siya magko-coterminate. It's coterminal with 150, diba? Si negative 210 and 150. Their absolute value, pag inad, is 360. So, ang cosecant, dito yon reciprocal ng 1/2, kaya 2. Okay? Si 405 naman, it's coterminal with 45 degrees. So, ito yon. If you get the quotient of this, that will be 1. Kaya the answer is 3. Okay, now let's go to number 4. Okay, medyo fast forward na po natin. Ayan, so how do we get the values of this? Si cosecant negative 7 pi over 6 and si secant ng negative 11 pi over 4. Yan, minsan nakakalito pag negative, no? So, negative 7 pi over 6, pwede nating express to as negative 6 pi over 6 para consistent na lang tayo sa negative, negative pi over 6. Okay? This is negative pi, tapos nagka-clockwise tayo, tapos negative pi over 6 pa. So, 1/6 of a pi. So, somewhere here lang. So, ibig sabihin second quadrant, positive value. Tapos, pi over 6 yung kinuha natin, pi over 6, si sine yung 1/2. Okay? Parang pwede mo sabihin, tatandaan mo na lang kung saan 1/2 yung sine function. So, pi over 6, si sine yung 1/2. Okay? Tapos, dito naman sa pi over 3, si cosine yung 1/2. Ayun. Para makita natin, di tayo malito. Okay? So, dito 1/2, reciprocal niya ay magiging 2. This part is 2. Tapos si 11 pi over 4, negative din, no? Negative 11 pi over 4. We can express this as negative. Ano ba yung malapit sa kanya? 8 pi over 4 plus negative 3 pi over 4. Para isang direction na lang, no? One direction, ika nga, no? So, negative 8 pi over 4 is negative 2 pi. So, dito siya magte-terminate. Diba? Magka-clockwise movement tayo, tapos terminate dito. Tapos, negative 3 pi over 4. Negative, clockwise pa rin. Lalampasan niya to. 3/4 is more than 1/2. So, dito siya pupunta. So, it's on the third quadrant. Third quadrant, pero si pi over 4 yung reference niya, yung nasa gitna, 45 degrees, square root of 2 over 2. Okay? Or sa pi over 4, si sine tsaka si cosine, yun yung 1 over square root of 2 or square root of 2. So yung reciprocal nila, yan, pareho silang equal dito, square root of 2. Pero negative or positive? Remember, we're on the third quadrant, so it will be negative. Okay? Kaya ang magiging answer natin ay 2 minus negative, kaya 2 plus square root of 2. Okay? So, kung makakatulong ito sa inyo, pwede nyo rin naman gamitin. Kaya lang, medyo malilito kayo. Kailangan alam nyo na yung 7 pi over 6 is negative. So, you'll be making use of this one instead. Okay? So, ito yung gagamitin. This one instead of this one. Take note, it's negative. Also, the 11 pi over 4, no? Lampas siya. So, it's coterminal with the what? With the 5 pi over 4. Diba? Pag negative 11, kinuha mo yung absolute value, inad mo si 5 pi over 4, the sum is 16 pi over 4. So, sila yung coterminal. As well as si negative 7 pi over 6, tsaka si 5 pi over 6, sila yung coterminal. So, ibig sabihin, pag negative, hahanapin mo yung positive na pag inad mo, even multiple na ng 2 pi. Okay? So, ay integral multiple rather ng 2 pi or even multiple ng pi. Like si 7 pi over 6, kung negative to, hahanapin mo si 5 pi over 6 para 12 pi over 6, 2 pi. Ito, hanapin mo si 5 pi over 4 para 16 over 4, 4 pi. Okay, so there you go. Ayan. I hope you got 4 out of 4 in this set of exercises. Sana ay nag-enjoy for this discussion. Ayan. So, happy learning. God bless you.